If you are leading a company, you cannot have a bad negative day. Because if you have a bad negative day, it goes straight to your people and then you're screwed.
Especially if you have a commercial co-founder, and if you're, because I'm not a technical co-founder by any means, I'm the visionary go-to-market guy that has a sick product strategy in mind when it comes to what needs to be done. Shout out to my co-founder, because whenever you have very dark times and you share that with them, I have the benefit, of course, of having co-founders who also build for other companies fully bootstrapped, so they do get the whole hustle phase. So yeah, whining to them is a plus, I'll say that.
I do believe that, yeah, strategies and skills are great, but especially in today's time, you can do everything almost with ChatGPT. You can learn everything on YouTube. So like, strategies and skills are everywhere, almost for free. That's what I want to say, right? But one thing that you really need as a founder, and you said before already about persistence, is really a strong mindset.
I mean, that mindset just stick with me so much. And I used to play basketball at competitive level too. So I kind of understood, like, if you really want something, you need to train hard and do absolutely everything. So that just stick with me, and this evolved also through my journey when I lost 20 kilos, right? And before coming to the Netherlands, I actually said to myself that I really want to go abroad, get as much knowledge as possible, go back to Bulgaria and deploy.
Welcome everybody to the Agency Breakthrough Podcast. Today with a guest. We know each other a little bit already from the Clay Group Europe, and I'm super excited to have him on. He's running SignalBase, which is a new SaaS. For sure he's going to tell us a little bit more about it. So welcome, Georgi, to the podcast. Maybe tell the people a little bit about you so they know who you are and what you do.
No, that's awesome. Thanks a lot for having me on the pod. And I really like the whole unscripted raw thoughts. That's actually something that I'm also doing with my Building in Public series, by the way. Just sitting on a terrace, chatting about like building companies and sipping coffee. I think that's what everyone else needs. So kudos for the format. A little bit about myself. So hi guys, Georgi here, Bulgarian, living in the Netherlands, 24 years old. So perhaps not the most common age of a founder that you see across, but I pretty much started my whole marketing journey at 16. On 19, I set foot on leadership position within multiple startups, and that helped me to close a few enterprise deals, understand how sales and marketing needs to collaborate with one another. And then based on that one, I worked in venture capital. I worked in startups that are VC backed, bootstrapped, name it, failed 3 companies. This is my 4th one. I did a massive conference for 200 go-to-market vetted executives last year. We completely put that initial company format, which was a roundtable, on the European ecosystem, like at least on the map, because nobody has done it previously. And right now I'm building SignalBase, which ultimately helps you to find companies that have a real motion behind them. So your SDR team could never waste another minute in talking to people that never have a budget in place. So this initially was a value proposition and being the first to reach out.
Interesting, man. Thank you so much for sharing this. So I'm always interested in things that are sticking out for me. Like, what's that building in public thing? That sounds super interesting. Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, of course. It's a general way how founders can build their own brand by being extremely resilient and sharing everything that happens around them, because everything that you see on LinkedIn is playbooks and wins and things like this. But it's very important to also share your pitfalls or downfalls, whatever you want to call it, your hard learned lessons. I mean, in 2 weeks ago, my co-founders came to me and be like, Georgi, if we don't figure this thing out, we need to shut down in June. So that's a big hit to take as the CEO, because you're wondering what the hell is going on. Like, why are my co-founders saying this and things like this? I love them to death, by the way, but it's a realistic point of view, because the company was running for a few months before I jumped as a CEO. So it's 4 months old since I jumped in, but you know, runway is runway, right? So there's only what you can do. So based on that one, we turned a few things around, resource allocation, and boom, this week we hired our first full-time developer, and he already shipped massive things inside of the product. So it's indeed all about the mindset that you need, and being able to address what's needed today, and not relying on others and staying hungry as a founder, because it's only up to you to push. And if you are not a real leader for your own company, to give an example, then everyone else is going to slag behind, which is something that I also seen previously as a head of growth in like multiple startups and agencies and whatnot, you always need someone who is the guiding light towards a particular
Yes.
direction. And normally it should be the founder, but if the founders are not visionary, they need a head of growth who is more visionary. So that's how I pretty much tie two and two. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. No, I love it, man. I call this like an informal leader almost, right? It's like, and I noticed even when I was working on cruise ships before, I was managing a spa with 17 girls and I think 1 or 2 boys. But one thing that I realized already there, and it went through all my career, because I was also having a land-based business. I had a cryo spa, I had a lot of different things as well, a lot of different business like you as well, right? And like one thing that I realized that you just pointed out, and I wanted one more time in phrase because I think it's so important. If you are basically leading a company, you cannot have a bad negative day. Because if you have a bad negative day, it goes straight to your people and then you're screwed. And then you proper fuck. So you have to always stay positive. You have to always stay leading. You have to always be optimistic. Because as soon as you going a little bit into negativity, your team is going to it straight away as well. It's very dangerous. So that's why it's difficult sometimes, but that's why especially people that are big CEOs and they have their coaches where they can go like, oh my God, I have to struggle on, I have this and I have that, right? Because with their team, with their teams, they cannot do that, right? Because it's just like,
yeah, no, totally. Especially if you have a commercial co-founder, and if you're, because I'm not a technical co-founder by any means, I'm the visionary go-to-market guy that has a sick product strategy in mind when it comes to what needs to be done, like the vision and things like this. When we started the company, I said that we will be feeding data to OpenAI, so let's see how that is about to go. But a long story short, shout out to my co-founder, because whenever you have very dark times and you share that with them, I have the benefit, of course, of having co-founders who also build for other companies fully bootstrapped, so they do get the whole hustle phase. So yeah, whining to them is a plus. I'll say that. To the team members, you need to be fully actually transparent. I shot an update like this at the end of this month saying how proud I am of absolutely everyone and what was the intention of the month, which was customer validation. And the fact that right now we have a pipeline of 60 deals and the product is actually moving in the right direction. So it's very important to give that direction. But yes, try to be more on the optimistic side. On the other side, like, don't throw dust. Like, you need to be able to know how to motivate your team and get the best out of them.
100% agreed. Okay, great. How old are you, Georgi, now, when I can ask you?
24.
Oh, you're young, man. Okay. And how long you're in the space now? How did you start out? Did you start with agency as well? Or you have started more like in working for other people? Like, tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, no. So at 16, I was studying marketing in Bulgaria back home in my high school. And then because of my parents, they're actually entrepreneurs themselves. They do have hair salons. They had a few. Now they have only one big.
That's why your hair is so nice.
I live in the Netherlands, so I had to change my barber. I need one, by the way. So I started there, and I initially started my whole entrepreneurial journey with being a fitness coach, because
Oh, cool.
right now I look.
Me too, actually. It's interesting.
Yeah, but before I was 100 kilos, so I was extremely fat.
Interesting.
In one summer, I lost 20 kilos or something. So that really was a tipping point for me to understand, okay, I can actually help people and build business around this. Around 19, due to consequences, I was studying marketing in the Netherlands and entrepreneurship. So that was the subject of my classes. I did this internship where there was this company for interactive punching bags. So we were selling software and hardware combined to other gyms. And due to the fact that I was having industry knowledge from my 3 years working for myself as a PT, so personal trainer, for those of you who don't know, I managed to leverage that learning and build a whole go-to-market system for them, which ultimately that business started working with the military of the Netherlands. Like, it scaled into to category. Afterwards, I was like, okay, maybe I can do something different. So I managed to land a job in a venture capital company, and therefore at months I led the growth for their portfolio companies and the venture capital itself. So that was very interesting to see. And at that point of time, my feeling for money kind of disappeared, because normally when someone says like, okay, here's 300 million, normally you're like, holy cow, this is a lot of money, right? Whenever you're surrounded with those angel investors and like investors and things like this, you kind of start saying like these money as, okay, yeah, they're money, but what do you actually do with it, right? Like this is by far the most important question. So financially, I started looking different at the whole world and things like this. Like, oh wow, okay. Obviously, it opens doors, but you know, it is different, and that is where I also understood how good is it to actually bootstrap, because I heard a few other stories from other founders who are being burned by VCs and things like this. And then I opened my agency afterwards because I was pressured by university to attend classes. So therefore, I could not be fully in for the venture capital company. And there, I actually took my first big step as an adult, quote unquote, and I became fractional CMO. So back in the day, like 3-4 years ago, no, yeah, 4 years ago, I think fractionals was a thing in the US, but not really in Europe. So people were asking like, what is fractional? Like, how do you initially do that, etc., etc., which taught me a lot about what makes a good founder good and a bad founder bad. Then not every client of yours is going to be a good, client too as an agency owner, but you're kind of debating, do I really need the cash or not? If you need the cash, I mean, we're open there. But what I thought myself is to have a retainer rather than outcome driven bonuses, because you always become a victim of something that is not in your um in your power control. Exactly, like you need to control the controllables, right? And also, like I learned number of book calls doesn't mean direct revenue.
Of course.
So this is like when an agency owner comes to me and they say, Georgi, I can book calls for you, and I'm like, I don't care about the calls, I care about the bottom line. As a founder, I care about the bottom line, not about it, like the number of book calls, because previously I also had this waiting list strategy for one of my previous ventures, and we had 300 of the best go-to-market teams out there. Well, guess what? Only 10 converted out of 300. So, like, do I really care about the 300 or about the 10? That's exactly the whole point that I'm trying to make, and I give it as feedback to some of the people within the go-to-market landscape that we have right now. When they ask me like, hey, is this a good offer or not? Like 5,000 emails sent. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that initially mean? How much revenue is this? So to all the agency owners, please try to convert your proposition to the actual outcome that comes in. Because then when you come to a founder and you say, okay, I say 500 emails, right? Your average ACV is 1K, let's say. It's a crazy, crazy stat, but whatever. And then based on that one, give me some statistic, like case study about how much it can go, like probability and things like this. Although, of course, it's not how it works, right? But I think quantifiable results are better than just saying 5K emails, because volume doesn't beat the game anymore, especially when you talk to someone who used to lead the marketing function. You just smell BS, like, let's put it that way. So yeah, I think it started from there, and they also realized the importance of churn, because that initial founder kept on pushing another freelancer that we had with the ads. So let's put money into ads, but they never improved the product. And you see how on the graph, someone just signed up, 2 weeks down the line, they stop using the product and they churn. So you're like, it doesn't matter how much money we put into the initial acquisition. Let's fix the product and the retention, the activation, because if not, it's like, what are you doing? And the worst case that happened also was that that founder did not go into calls with the customers to understand what actually prevent them. So it was just, oh yeah, pour money in, we'll get money out. No, it's not like that when you try to build a business. Like, you need to think about churn, predictability, stickiness, and all this is. So yeah, that's pretty much it from my first agency experience. And then I'll fast forward a little bit to my secondary one. It's very important to have a good brand in place. This is what carried us to the first million, actually. like all of the great content that we created consistently with the right message, saying that we're actually the industry experts. Now it's very different, but the founders of the agency that I work with just exited their company, so the credibility was very, very high. And that helped us to get the first batch of clients in, then the whole offering that comes in, and the fact that we run in-person events was super interesting too for people, because then all of the sudden everyone was just online, right? Last year also those events were done, but not so frequently, and then we introduced them for the right ICP, and just like that we managed to grow to 1 million together with an assistant layer of doing sales at different events. So I think that's how the company managed to grow to 1 million. So very structured offering, very sticky. You try to retain your people, and then you pull the right experts, because the problem with agencies most of the time is that you get a new offer, right, that you need to execute on, then you answer it to someone junior. Never good. Never good. Like if you're building an agency, you really need to invest in the team that you're building.
Yeah.
Because that makes you to stand out. That is at least some of the learnings, but I'll shut up because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
No, I think it's great. I mean, this is also something that Wesley said in the week after before, where he said, like, look, the focus is really on the team. The team makes the agency in the end. If the team is not good, the agency will never be good. And that's why they have a massive focus on the team. He even has a program for this where he focuses specifically on team building, right? Which is interesting for agencies, because he says that that's the foundation of everything, right? And I agree, because if you have like happy team members, then automatically they will push everything forward, right? So this is just what it's about. Plus, happy team members are good for the customers. Like it's just like it's one circle, right? However, if you have, on the other hand, if you just have people that I know that you have to explain everything by SOP and and you always have to shadow them and you don't know what they're doing, it's a nightmare. You can directly do it by yourself. Like, what's the point, right? So you need to have proactive A players in your team. Otherwise, you cannot really. I had a conversation with Frank the other day, which was really cool as well. Where he said, Jonas, if I have to tell somebody what to do, I fire them. I was like, what the fuck? That's a little bit rough, but okay.
Yeah. Well, it depends, right? Like it depends on which seniority level they are. It depends like how you structure your own team, right? Because ultimately how I think about it is you get tier S player and then you surround them with systems around it. So this is something that we do right now with our development team. And this is the first hiring that we actually did. Because we, again, as a business owner, no matter what you are, you need to address your biggest bottleneck. So if you say, hey, our product is freaking great, but the distribution suck, well, you need to get someone whose mouth does not stop talking, like myself. I keep on showing on a little podcast and like try to make boom on LinkedIn and talk to everyone. So you need someone like that. But if your distribution is very great and then you need but the offer is not so great, right? You need someone who thinks operations, someone who thinks maybe like in our side is like development, right? So it's a little bit different. But then my mind, and this is how we build SignalBase ultimately, is to have this person that ships, right? But in order to give the right data to the right people, you need a solid structure in place. So how can we get the data in, verify it for the initial person, and enable our developer to also keep on improving only these layers, so we don't scale him, we scale the system. And that is what makes us different as well, because there are like 3 layers of the data that you see inside SignalBase. So we have obviously the sourcing, where it's social media, different news outlets, and also we have trained a few our scrapers of ours. Then we have the secondary layer, where we have our own LLMs, which is something that is very interesting, how you need to train that thing and how much data it needs and how you do it. So you really need a tier S player in there. And then and then below that, you also have a VA, or at least that's how we started. I was doing a lot of VA work with manual checking of all the signals, which finally automated this week. And I'm extremely happy because the data quality jumped significantly. And now we just scaled like those layers with additional LLMs for verifications and things like this. So that's how.
So you scaled the agency first of all to 1 mil, and then after you started the software, the SaaS.
Yes. So within the agency, what we discovered is that this was 2024, 2025. So what happened there is that we reached a mil, and then we were like, okay, the vision of the founders is to have community plus SaaS products plus agency under the same mother brand. Let's try to develop the community. And are you familiar with Pavilion or no?
Yes, heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, so we were literally building a competitor of Pavilion, which is a 10-year-old community with a lot of funding behind them. And it was very interesting how we can do that within a small market like the Netherlands. It's a very powerful market, but it's very small. And initially we grew the product to, I think, 20K or something like this because it was a subscription. But actually the community was more of brand play. And then in February, so we launched it in January, in February, one of the co-founders said, hey, why don't we make a conference to put our name on the map? Sounds cool. Let's do it. And but of course we undervalued how heavy on efforts is this and how heavy on marketing it is, especially because you're the first person who throws a conference. Nobody knows about your conference. You have the normal conferences in Europe, but if you're trying to make a new one, you need to pay for big names. You need to bring all of the insights that you actually have. So we were leveraging, this was good because we were leveraging everything that we learned from the agency side directly into the conference. And ultimately what happened was that in June, we had only 30 tickets sold. So I was pushing two products at the same time. I was pushing the community and the conference, and I was doing the content for the founders. At that point of time, what happened was that our back in the day, head of content left the company, and his project also became my project as the head of growth, right? And I guess to grow the company. Long story short, the community, we run a few cool events like pool parties, like meetups and things like this, but it became a little bit more in the back. And then in order to sacrifice my time for the conference. And here is where I realized, holy cow, Signals is the way to go. The reason why I'm building SignalBase is because of this whole experience of how I built the conference. When we stopped, sorry, I just need to close really quickly my messages because my team is DMing me. Okay, cool. So back to the story. Initially what happened was that we were in June and we only had 30 tickets. We were 170 tickets away from reaching that initial goal.
Okay.
And I was like, guys, someone needs to pick this up because like, what is going on? And the founders came to me, grabbed him by the shoulder, like, Georgi, yes, it's your own responsibility. Oh, God damn it. Here we go, the golden boy once again. And at first I was like, okay, let's start running outreach. The outreach scaled exactly to that point, right? Like we started doing it from February. So from February to June, we run outreach that is purely on ICP-like organizations. But I was like, that doesn't work. Let's find a loop around there. I started recording these funny videos around marketing and metaphors. You can go to my profile and you can see that like I drink coffee. I'm running around the office. I do push-ups.
I've seen a few of them. Yeah, cool, man, actually. Yeah. I even said, like, this is really, I even remember I did a comment. I was like, this is a really cool site. I like this a lot, man. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So I built a system around this. Everyone that engaged with this content piece and their ICP-like profile, I send them a message saying like, hey, do you want to learn from the best, etc., etc. That thing normally did not work. But what happened there is that to those who work, we run thought leadership ads behind their posts because we designed those frames about, hey, I'm participating in this conference. When we run those frames, we targeted ICP-like people, so heads of marketing, heads of growth, heads of revenue. Whenever I see that they engage with the ad, I send them a message instantly, and this is all manual. So everything that I'm missing is all manual. So it's like me 24/7 checking every freaking post of the ads that we run in order to find new opportunities. Once I have this, I send a message that goes between the lines of, hey, are you joining the conference that we're creating? Your friend tag the initial person that they engage with, because they're most of the time our friends. If you like comment, if you like on this, it's very there of mind. Is coming, are you coming? If they say yes, they buy a ticket. I make a frame for them, custom. So for everyone, each one of the 200 people, I made custom visuals and I send it to them. When they post about it, I run ads on it again and again and again. So it becomes like a close environment. If someone ignores me, and here is where it gets super interesting. If someone ignores me one time, the next time when they like another post about the same event from another person, I send them a message 3 seconds later, like, "Boop, oh, it seems like you also know Georgi, like he's coming. Are you coming?" So in that sense, like I get to be the annoying guy that leverages that familiarity, but there is no way to run because you know that it's credible, right? Like if the head of marketing of 100 of 50 million in revenue company is coming, there is no reason for you to not come.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and just
Cool. And you made it full or what?
yes, 200 people in the end in September.
Wow. That's fucking great, man. This is congratulations. That's like banging, because I know I have done events before, and like in short, before stepping in and making it happen, respect.
Because it was the best thing, one of the best things that happened last year after starting the company and going to Thailand with my co-founder for the first time ever and experience what freedom can actually be. But that's on it.
And did you do like LinkedIn ads or what? Or?
Yeah, only thought leadership ads.
Okay, interesting. I need to think about that, because somebody already told me this. Like maybe it could be interesting for what I do as well, to be honest. Thought leadership ads. That's what you did. Okay.
Yeah, and it's super powerful, especially if you have others to talk about you, right? So I think when you run a test, you posting content and other people posting content, of course, other people posting content about your works 10 times better, because it's not pushy. It's like a genuine recommendation. And it's something that I also spoke with Olivier from the Swarm. He's like the chief growth officer there. We've been talking like left and right. I also had him on my podcast. And what he mentions is like warm intros close 4 times more than a normal cold outbound message. So it actually works like a warm intro in essence. So it's up to you to capture that signal around like you post.
Very interesting though. Thanks for sharing this, man. Okay, so yeah, tell us a little bit more about SignalBase, because you said that's why you created SignalBase. So like, tell me why from this experience that happened there, you had the idea to create SignalBase, and what SignalBase really is and how it can help an agency owner today.
Yeah, it ultimately discovers the power of going after accounts that have a real motion behind them. You need any particular piece of context that you can leverage in order to outreach to the right people at the right time, right? Because it's sales is only about reaching out to the right people at the right time. Right? That's how you grow the ball map. So why don't we turn this into a software? Like that was my whole mission. And initially started like this. Right now we're evolving a little bit the value proposition because of where the market is taking us. But that's another topic. Initially, what you can do right now with SignalBase is to discover accounts that recently got a funding behind them. Recently, we talked about 5 minutes ago or a minute ago. Then acquisition news. So Grammarly, for instance, was acquired by Superhuman, and then the other way around. I don't really remember, but we got that news quite fast. We have job changes now. So if I switch from being a CEO to, let's say, a head of growth, and I'll capture this within a minute ago time frame, and then you can build ultimately a list that is highly targeted with context, to which later you can run an additional enrichment in the rest of the tech stack. So once you build your list with us, you can push this list via API. You have webhooks, or you can download it as CSV, like as simple as it is. It's ultimately like some of the previous lead gen databases, but we'll only showcase you accounts if they move, because in that case, you never reach out to stale accounts anymore.
And what's the difference? Because like with Crunchbase was a little bit similar, right? The funding and stuff like this. What's the difference to Crunchbase, for example?
The scraping window is, I think, by far the biggest difference, because their difference is 2 hours to 2 months time frame when it comes to the sourcing power. And this is an insight that came from the original founder of the company, because And I'm saying this because we acquired the company. So it's a whole different use case of how to start a company, and this is what makes it so different. Because I initially stepped in as a CEO to a company that it's running. I did a rebrand, and then I needed to also like do a full migration of the past users to the new platform, which gives them access to so many more signals with higher verification. So that's initially where it is. It's in the real time element.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Specifically, how fast you get signals. So, like you said, you get a signal like minutes before, and you already got it, or something like that. So that's
Yep. Correct.
uh-huh.
And it's also just built for go-to-market teams.
Uh-huh.
That's in essence.
Interesting, man. All right, cool. Obviously, you know that my topic is mindset a lot, right? Because like we said already before we started this podcast, I do believe that strategies and skills are great, but especially in today's time, you basically can do everything almost with ChatGPT. You can learn everything on YouTube. So like strategies and skills are everywhere, almost for free. That's what I want to say, right? But one thing that you really need as a founder, and you said before already about persistence, is really a strong mindset. Can you tell us a little bit about this in your journey, how this played a role for you?
Yeah. As a founder or as a whole, because I feel like there are multiple layers to it.
Both, if you like.
Yeah. No, as maybe I'll just start with the backstory. I need to thank my parents for helping me embrace, like, I'm grown up with this whole mentality of whatever you wanna get in your life, you need to work your ass for it. Sorry for my language. But yeah, there was nothing given. And even at the age of 11, I used to play a lot of games. My mom never bought games for me like at that age anymore. So I was like, okay, I need to find a way how to like get this thing down, right? So I was saving money from snacks my mom was giving me every week. And I was also reselling my old games, and there you go. I have new games, and actually has things at 11. I made like 1K 3 months or something. So that was
At 11.
that's great. All was like, what are you doing? Are you selling drugs or something? So yeah, I mean that mindset just stick with me so much. And I used to play basketball on a competitive level too. So I kind of understood like if you really want something, you need to train hard and do absolutely everything. So that just stick with me, and this evolved also through my journey when I lost 20 kilos, right? And before coming to the Netherlands, I actually said to myself that I really want to go abroad, get as much knowledge as possible, go back to Bulgaria and deploy it. So I actually did that a few times. Like I spoke at a few events back home to help the ecosystem. That was quite lovely, but I feel like there's so much more that I need to do abroad. I think resilience is by far the biggest thing, and you need to be obviously, as my ex used to call me, toxic positivity to speak. But yeah, like that's how you need to be as a founder if you want to succeed. Like if you read biographies of any successful founders, everyone was obsessed. Everyone was lost within the journey. Everyone risked it all. Like at some point they barely had anything, right? So it's just part of the mindset, and this is exactly um the radical decision making that you need as a founder, and just having hope, right? And searching for more clues and never giving up. There's a great book, by the way, that I always love to recommend. I have it there, but it's called Mindset by Dr. God, I forgot about it. It's a small book with blue typography, and ultimately it talks about the growth mindset. And this is something that got installed to me when I was building myself as a marketing leader. The fact that you never have for like mistakes, you have lessons, and every lesson takes you further, right? So it's way better to actually fail 100 times, but then you have 100 lessons, right? Like learnings, rather than just sitting on the couch and doing nothing, because at least you tried, right? You know what it takes. So that's the mindset that I have. And also maybe for yourself, like ask yourself, do you actually have something to lose? because I don't have anything to lose when it comes to building SignalBase, right? And this is why I'm so hungry for what it can be. Like I'm chasing that vision and I'm chasing that promise that I have in my mind. But in reality, I'm just losing time and maybe some of my savings, right? But you need to think about it like as a investing in an asset, because your business is an asset and you need to invest in it, right? So that's pretty much how I see it. And then this was also very big for me this month, because when we started the company in November, on paper, every GTM team that I talked to, every GTM agency that I talked to, even everyone within the previous version of the software was raving about it. Yes, it's a great product. Let's do it. Yeah, but that's not how you build a SaaS, right? Like stuff hit the fan. And in December, so November I had 70 demos. December I had 30, even less actually. Nothing really moved. In January we did our launching party because I felt like we finally migrated from the old system to the new system, right? So that's great. And then based on that one, we hit not a rock bottom. It's not a rock bottom because we actually keep on bringing customers and we have HubSpot and a few other bigger teams, right? But it was more for the fact that, okay, we're plateauing. How can we grow? What can we do? And on February 3rd, I told to my co-founders, guys, I'm going to try selling our API to other vendors. And this is where the whole point gets right now. During this whole month, I was working my ass off for this, and we built a pipeline of 60 deals for this API use case, which becomes extremely repeatable too. And you can only get there if you don't like surrender by any means. And your business dies whenever you surrender. There's so much more that you can do before you surrender. It's actually not a secret that I was working until this week, 2 times a week for as a marketing leader for my co-founders companies, because they have like 4 companies together with SignalBase. And that makes it a little bit also more harder for our journey. And if people see and wonder, hey, why don't these guys move faster? Well, we actually did our best. So what I just did in order to unblock the business is relocate my salary as a marketing leader to our developer so he can jump in full time. So I'm on my savings. And it's a ballsy move, right? Because this is the whole reason I also switched from my very well paid head of growth job that I previously had. And that was the whole value proposition, like get equity plus salary so you can pay your rent. Because in Amsterdam, rent is expensive there. So it's a month. Yeah. So yeah, that's the mindset that you need. Like, hey, I'm not giving up. And as I mentioned in the beginning, like my founder said, until June, I think until June we will be fine, considering that we just got our biggest deals. We have a stable pipeline, so it should be fine. Like that's what I'm saying, and it's all fine. Like there's nothing for you to lose, so just jump in it.
I love it, man. You said a few things that really stood out for me. It's like, number one, obviously, that you are basically giving your salary to the developer is massive sacrifice, right? Like, and not everybody would do that, but that shows how much you really want that and how much you're really doing it for the big star, big North Star, the burning desire. Like Napoleon Hill always says, right? The start of all achievement is a burning desire. And if you don't have that burning desire, you're not going fucking anywhere. Like, let's be real, right? And that's what I see everywhere as well, because I see a lot of people opening SaaS and doing this and doing that. But do they really have the burning desire, or do they just do it because it's nice and everybody does the SaaS now and I can also do one? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see this burning desire. And I see it in you, and I love it, to be honest, because this is something that I'm always amazed by, because I think that's how you really build business. If you don't burn for it, there's so much more people out there that are more hungry than you. You know what I mean? And they fucking eat you alive. You know what I mean? But if you burn for it, and if you're hungry for it, and if you like do a move like you do, like giving your salary to the developer, which I think is fucking insane, right? But like doing this kind of things, right? But like really believing in the vision, this is what I think makes you a great entrepreneur. And that's why you will survive and you will succeed. I know this because this is just like, you have this burning desire. And I think this is the most important thing. If you really want to make big things happen, you need that desire, because this is the thing that, like, Simon Sinek calls it the why, right? Like the thing that brings me through the situation when somebody hits me in the stomach, when somebody hits me in the balls, because it all the time happens. It's just like it's a bumpy ride. That's what it is, right? And if you don't have like this why and this burning desire, it's like for what the hell you're doing it, you're not gonna get there because you give up. And that's it, right? And if you have it and you have this fire, and I feel this in you, then you're unstoppable, man. Nothing can stop you. And that's fucking fire. It's great, man. And congratulations. I love hearing that, man. This is fire.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's like, it gets to the point when I told my parents about it, I'm not receiving any financial support by them, but as one entrepreneur to another, it's just nice to surround yourself with like-minded people. And if your founders, if your parents are founders, of course you are going to chat about like business and stuff. Like me and my dad spent the entire Christmas like this, so that was very interesting experience to see. Although they're not building SaaS, right? It's very traditional, but it's just like how people think about the particular stuff. And although they're founders, they're like, "Are you crazy? Like, who's going to pay your rent?" And I'm like, "I'm going to pay it myself." And this is, by the way, a very big lesson for me as a person. So during the agency days, because I was a student, right, I had enough money to pay my rent. Like, I paid 200 euros for my student accommodation, so that was good. And then the rest of the money I saved. So those money 4 years ago, I use now to invest in SignalBase and survive. So if you think about it, hey, maybe it's worth saving a few bucks. It is definitely worth it because you don't know when you're about to use them. And something deep inside was telling me, save them. You know the right moment when to deploy them. Now is the right time to deploy them. So yeah, just giving this as part of the mindset. Like, you need to be also a bit frugal with the money that you have, because everyone spends money on tooling. And this is something that I've been talking to Spencer, to Adam from the K Bootcamp, to absolutely like to build from sales captain. Doesn't really matter. You see teams throwing themselves in systems and toolings before thinking foundationally. And this is something that I'm telling to even my own prospects when they want to, not prospects, but like people that want to use SignalBase, bigger teams, like we told 30 million plus. The CMO jumps in on call and it's like, "Georgi, how can I build a system around this?" And I'm like, okay, think first before you even buy me. And I'm very honest with those stuff. Do you really need something like this, or you can run a manual test first? Run a manual test. If you see that this thing is working, scale it, right? Then you buy a system. What I do currently, outside of like supporting him thinking like this, I also support them what happens when they buy us, like how to integrate with the rest of the tech stack, when to deploy the AEs and things like this. But yeah, just think like tooling is not tooling is not the way to go. There's your foundational knowledge is, and then whenever you have that, then you scale it with it too, and then you throw the money, which again, if you save them, it's nice because you can throw it at the wall. So yeah, there is always like, whenever you're in some kind of situation that you're stuck with, you can either throw money on the wall, or you can rethink your whole strategy, or see if you can allocate resources. So that's what a very good founder would do, in my eyes at least.
Yeah, great. And one thing, because obviously I think is super valuable for my audience, because I know a lot of them try to build their own SaaS. They're running agencies and want to build SaaS. Everybody now, because it's cloud code, is like, let me build a SaaS. It's easy, you know? Yeah. Like, but I mean, what advice would you give these kind of people? Because I see a lot of my friends are building SaaS, but I have the feeling that they're somehow standing on the thing. They're like having a few customers, this a little bit that, but they're missing a part of the business of really creating a SaaS. And that's what I see everywhere. So what kind of advice would you give these people?
Are you solving a problem for yourself or for the market? I think that's a big question. Because when you try to build a SaaS around your own pure problem, because there are layers, right? Like, first you build a company around a problem that you think it's big, right? Then you go to validate it with someone. If they say this is actually true, okay, can you pay for it already? If they pay for it, perfect. And then you actually start building. I think there are multiple things in here, but ultimately running two businesses at the same time is very hard. I came to speak with some of the data vendors that they are right now, because as I mentioned, like, we feed them with our own data. initially what they say when I ask them, hey guys, are you by the way bootstrapped or VC funded? Just for my knowledge as of one founder to another. Because we also had this consideration, like should we bootstrap, should we like invest, etc., etc. And they say, oh, we're bootstrap, but the secret to this is because of the fact that the founder or the cousin of the founder or something like this, they have a multi-million company that is still working and they're just in maintenance mode, or they exited their company and they can deploy cash. It's very hard to build two business models on top of one another, especially if you don't have a set system in place. So I would say think about it and really like go fully in. Bidding it on the side is a nice proposition, but I think you're with the purple glasses on in that sense. Like I tried it. At some point, you just need to hustle a bit to build a good product. And for that one, you need to constantly talk to the market 24/7 and learn and like test multiple offers. And you can only do that if you're full-time, in my eyes. Previously, I was very optimistic about, oh yeah, you can do it on the side. Not really. Like not if you're trying to build something that is going to be your main income, I'll say.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you pointed out as well, I think that's super important because that's also something that I see all around. You say you always have to talk to the market. So you're very present on LinkedIn. You're doing a lot there. Like I see you everywhere. You know what I mean? So like that's the thing. And I see so many agency owners not even posting, which I think is insane to me. Like, what do they do? You know what I mean?
I think it's also because of the fact that people are undercutting themselves due to the fact that they will sound like the rest of the market. And honestly, on surface, everyone looks like one another, but you have a different twist to it. So I think this is part of your core content engine, like what makes you unique. And this is also your product. Like, okay, you take a particular system in place, right? What is working that you can do only one thing? All-in-one products are never working. I forgot to mention this thing. Building an all-in-one product on paper is nice. But even if I need to give an insight, and I gave that to someone from Data Bar the other day, because you either build nowadays with Cloud Code and all of these, you either build something that is data aggregator or data sourcer. This is like where I think the whole future would go. You have like ginormous LLM layers and you just feed them with data. The question is, how do you collect the data in a unique way, and what do you do with the data in a unique way? And this is the thinking for building a particular product, or when it comes to your marketing, right? Like, what is the one thing that you can talk about that is uniquely to you, right? And what is your actual biggest enemy? This is something that I learned previously from one of the partners at the Growth Syndicate. So they asked me, what is your biggest enemy? And this is a question that we ask to all of our previous clients, because every business is built on top of something. My biggest enemy at the moment is still data. Like, no matter how I see it, no matter to who I'm selling, GTM teams, vendors, it's always still data, right? Because that thing alone leads to becoming spam or a lack of business opportunities and things. So ask yourself, whenever you're building a product, whenever you're building an agency, whenever you're making content for yourself, like, what is your biggest enemy and how you are defeating it, quote unquote? Like, why should people care about the fact that it is an actual enemy that they need to embrace? And based on that, your whole story around your brand gets 10 times easier.
Thank you for sharing. This is great. This is great advice. Because obviously, like, that's the next thing that we also, I mean, you all for sure also see this everywhere. There's all these like ChatGPT created posts out there. Everything sounds the fucking same, right? And it's just like, it's losing individuality. And I think it's so important, especially in today's time. That's why I'm doing this raw and unscripted. And that's why I think people love it, because, you know, people want to have humans again. People want to see human thing in you, and not just like a scripted thing and everything sounds the same, right? So this is, I think it's super important. And I think it will become even more important the more we're going into this age of AI and everything. Like, obviously, like, it's just like this, the more you're going to be authentic again, the more you basically, because in the end, people buy you, let's be real, right? They buy obviously your product, but they buy mostly you. And I think you are that successful because you, like you said, you're always out there, you always talk to the market, you always get everything, like, you get also the principle of failing. I think That's something that I have a lot in my own teachings, where I say, like, school educated us with the Rockefeller system that did not change since 1900. The education system is always the same, right? Educated us that failing is a bad thing. It's not. Failing is the best thing that you can do. Just if you're not fail, you're always in your comfort zone. You're not growing. You're just doing all the time the same shit. You cannot grow. It's impossible. And if you want to really grow, you need to fail all the time, because you need to try new things. It's just part of the game, right? And that people are so scared, afraid of failing. And the next thing, like I said, also, for example, people posting on LinkedIn, I call this like the visibility virus, right? People are scared to go out there and get rejected. They're like, what could people think about me? I don't give a fuck what people think about me. Like, literally, I don't care. Right? And I think that's the power, because like that, like this, I can just do what I want. And the funny thing is, people love it. People love when you are you, right? That's what it's all about. And don't need to be like a mask on, I need to be this, I need to be that. Just be fucking you. And then you will find people that love you the way you are, and the others you don't care, because you don't need them.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Not every customer is your customer too. Like,
Yeah.
when I see it, now that we did not have enough data sample, like a big data sample, like in order to know how to embrace that new stage of SignalBase, which is like becoming a really API first. Before we had an API, but it was like a little bit more on the back end. Now it's like, no, we're API first product. And I see like different data vendors, how they react. And of course, you always have someone that will say, oh yeah, this is BS. But then the more you talk about it, the more data you get, the more you see that you are not the problem, this person is. And I'm not afraid to call it out, because it's actually a whole, like, excuse my language, but it's a bullshit excuse to ultimately, not want to follow the use case that other vendors have. So yeah, you always have like someone complaining and thinking something about you, but it's actually more important to keep on hustling and getting that bigger pool of insights around you, so you can make proper decisions and see where that go, and based on that decisions, dare to iterate fast. Like, that's another thing that I learned within my journey with SignalBase.
Yeah, I learned one thing that I think is powerful, is that says, like, haters always come from below.
Yeah, can be. I mean, as long as you stick to your own way. And also, one last very important lesson that I learned throughout my life: you need to control the controllables, and something that is not in your control. I mean,
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. Honestly, it was a big, massive pleasure being with you. So when just poof, passed by like, it's just flying, man. I always have a last question, and I want you really to a little bit think deep about it. So imagine like you could go back one more time when you started out, not when you were 11, but when you started out your first real business, right? If you could give yourself 3 advices at this time, what would that be?
do we talk in general, right?
Yeah. The young Georgie with, I don't know, 18, 19, something like this.
One thing that comes top of mind is surrounding yourself with the right people, because then the right opportunities will come. It's always like this. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when I moved to the Netherlands, I had a lot of friends from back home, but you actually see that they were not really your friends. And then the same thing happens in university. The same thing happens later down the line. But the people that are really striving to get better, they just stick together and they evolve together. And you want to be always the dumbest in the room. Like, I try to always refer to this, but this is also super nice, because when I went to Thailand with 10 other founders that are further in their journey, you just sense like how different it is from the rest of the people that you normally meet, like to co-working center, like freelancers and stuff like this. Try to find your own environment. I think that's by far one of the most important things, because then you don't have issues, you have learnings, and when you share your issues, you happen to overcome them quite quickly, because you get a third person point of view from someone who's actually there and digs together with you, and they always want to evolve, right? So I'd say this is by far one of the best thing. Like, your environment is very valuable, and this is what helped me to also elevate as a marketing leader when I previously joined the Growth Syndicate, because every one of these guys there was a head of marketing or was a chief growth officer, right? And whenever you're surrounded with those people, you start thinking like them and you evolve as a person. So I was like, pretty much that's it. And try to really not hold too much to your business. Meaning, you might think you want to build something, but obviously the situation and the resources that you have is different. So you do need to evolve with where the market is taking you, because that's the best thing that you can do for your business, right? Like the more you wonder why it's not the way that you want it, the worse it gets. And this is a learning that I also got from Nick, the founder of Heritage. So he mentions that exact same thing. They never wanted to build a LinkedIn automation platform, funny enough. But the market led them to build a LinkedIn automation platform.
Interesting. I just checked my things like that. I mean, he will not remember that, Nick, but he was reaching out to me like years ago when they started out basically doing their call email. And I didn't get the deal for whatever reason, because I just started out as well. I was like, interesting, bro. Like, I was like, hey, Rich, what the fuck? I mean, it was like, this, like, really years ago. They're just starting out. Nobody knew them. And I could have basically, be a part in their journey for whatever reason, but I never became one. So, yeah. Funny story on the side.
Yeah, totally. No, but I think those are my two bigger lessons. And,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Mine. Thank you, man. Thank you very much for joining. It was a massive pleasure. So, guys, thank you very much for joining the podcast. I see you next week on Thursday for my next Raw and Unscripted. I have a powerful one there, like always. And yeah, if you like that content, if you like that stuff, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.